guys. Why don't you give me your name, age, how long you guys have been
My name's Desiree McAlpines, and I'm 28 years old.
My name is Jason McAlpine, and I'm 36.
here? How long you guys been married?
7 years as of yesterday. We came to Emmaus. We felt that we were getting plugged into the church, and I know we were looking to find God and to have Christ in our lives. Now, how that played out, I didn't know what to do as a husband or a father. It just so I don't think we tried to find God, but um, I think it was always like He was on the back burner, and we were just it was like a concept instead of like actual reality. Um, my idea of the marriage was coming in was kind of like the ones that you always read in the books, or just the fantasy marriage that you see on TV. Like you have all this build up. I'm like, oh, I met the perfect woman, but then you throw in like financial problems, kids and all that stuff, and it doesn't turn out the way you read about or dreamt about. I know on my part that as a husband, as a father, I went into this whole thing without, I always had a belief that there was a God, but again, like I really never had him centered into my life in the beginning. And so it sounded good. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to church. I say I love Jesus, it's all good. But in actuality, like, I mean, I drank, I acted immature. I wasn't leading my family like I should. I wasn't leading my wife like I should. I mean, I went in there just thinking, okay, I'm gonna start from scratch. I had no role model as a father figure in my life on like an ideal marriage. Nothing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this and see where it goes, and completely failed.
I think with our kids, we tried our hardest to um, teach them about who God was and who Jesus is and what that means for them, but we never really, I think, um, put that at the center of our relationship. Going into marriage and having certain expectations, and then not having those met, and him failing at the things that I thought he should always be as a husband. Um, those things, I think, they built up over time, and just I think slowly, um, I started not caring anymore. Um, and then, uh, I I had somebody come back into my life, um, that I was very close to when I was younger, and I allowed myself to um, become emotionally attached to this person, and there was no clear picture of what I wanted to happen or anything. It was just someone to talk to, and as time went on, the more I let it happen, it was emotionally and physically attaching myself to another person. I knew something wasn't right. I knew I wasn't um, acting in a way that glorified God. So I didn't talk to anyone about that. I put a smile on my face. Um, that's how I separated myself from having to really confront what I was doing.
I still wasn't fully in the beginning relying on Christ to help me through this. So I continued to drink to kind of blunt the emotions and the stress factor and all that stuff. But towards the end, when it built up to like this last year, um, I just had to give it all to Christ.
Started out like not this last year, but before that with Heather. She she had no problem confronting me um, and telling me, you know, what you're doing is um, destructive. And at first, I was really offended how she came across, but thinking back on it, I know she did it because she cared and she loved me enough to tell me. And that was the first time I think I started to think about what I was doing. His greatest strength, I think, is forgiveness. I mean, in a moment where I couldn't even forgive myself and I didn't want to be forgiven, he was able to forgive me even though he was hurting. He's very quick to forgive. Um, and he may not feel it right away that he wants to forgive me or for what happened, but he prays through it, and that's his heart, is to forgive. Before we came back and I started really trying to seek out God, I didn't have any hope for a marriage. Um, if he had asked me, I'd probably say we'd be divorced by now. Um, but I mean, I don't know.
But God's stronger than that, and I felt the same way. I didn't know. I mean, I would seek guidance from people at Emmaus and the brothers that were there, and they would just tell me to just seek the Lord and Scripture, and that kind of gave me hope. And I know that all things are possible with God, and even our broken marriage could be restored, through God's will.